Well, this election, it turns out, it would appear, is about so very many things. To discuss them all, Mark Leibovich, a CBS News political contributor and chief national correspondent for the New York Times Magazine, joins us now. And Mark, as it regards the politics here, Politico's Glenn Thrush actually tweeted this morning a quote from a senior Democrat who told him this, and I quote, said tweet, "Not enough to defend, time to get back to most effective message. Trump is a monster who will destroy the country," end tweet. What do you make of it?
Well, I mean, Secretary Clinton talked about the noise. I mean, the fact is, yes, there's a lot of noise. There's been a lot of noise for a long time. This is more than noise. This is the FBI director. This is a sort of a bombshell event that happened on Friday. And the problem is, last week, the Clinton campaign felt very much in control of this election. I think to some degree they still do, because they've done a lot of blocking and tackling involving on-the-ground stuff, with early voting and organization and that kind of thing. But you just don't have any control over information this week. And yes, I'm sure the Clinton campaign has a great deal of, still has a great deal of unused opposition research that they might be dripping out this week. But the fact is, this has created its own sort of internal mini-series. This Comey investigation about, where there's going to be a lot of leaks, there's going to be, probably some piecemeal disclosures, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty. I don't see how any of that is good for Hillary Clinton. But again, I mean, I guess her message here is not to sort of go after Trump, although I'm sure there'll be plenty of that. It's, I'm focused on you. It is to keep this as granular as she can possibly, and hope that the noise doesn't get the best.
A mini-series certainly is not something I think either campaign would necessarily want to contend with 9-10 days out from an election. But what have you made, Mark, of the FBI's handling of this entire situation? And I refer specifically to James Comey's decision to send the letter he sent to Congress before a warrant had been obtained.
Well, I mean, yes, it was before a warrant was obtained. I do think the environment that James Comey is operating in is one in which leaks are inevitable. So I mean, this is obviously, I haven't talked to him. I don't have any internal sort of knowledge of this, but I do think that in this environment, and as we've seen over the last few months, leaks are sort of driving this story. And I think he probably had a pretty legitimate concern that if it came out after the election that he was sitting on this possible information, and if that leaked out, he was going to get it either way. I mean, I think it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Obviously, there's a lot of internal.
Well, Mark, but in that case, Mark, then why not, if you're James Comey, and if that is in fact essentially the case, why break with long-standing precedent from not commenting on ongoing investigations and not commenting on anything that could materially impact a general election?
Well, I mean, it's hard for me to say. I don't know what facts he was going with. I don't know what the conversations were like with the Justice Department. He would say that the FBI is an independent organization, and again, without being privy to those conversations, it's hard to know. But I mean, obviously, he's getting a lot of heat, and probably would have in the other event too.
What do you think this does, not just for the presidential election, but how do you think this impacts down ballot races that just a week ago, per reporting from Martin Major Garrett this morning, had left operatives in the field feeling very glum in GOP circles?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think this is probably a morale boost to a lot of GOP candidates down ballot. I mean, I think anything that energizes Trump supporters and de-energizes potentially Clinton supporters is going to benefit the Republicans, down the ballot. So I think in that sense it could be a positive. But there's also an indication that over the last few days, a lot of Democrats have been pretty focused on just actually getting out their own vote. Maybe this has put some kind of fear of God into them that itself can create an urgency that might have been lost through, any complacency that you can see in a situation like this. So obviously the dynamic of this is different, but I also think that the forces down the ground can be just as uncertain as it can be in the noise.
And Mark, as it regards the letter sent by Senator Harry Reid to James Comey, I know this is a senator you've covered for many years. The letter essentially accusing Comey of sitting on information regarding Donald Trump's connections with Russia. What did you make of it?
Well, I mean, look, I think pretty much everything that comes out of this investigation from a politician going forward, and certainly over the last couple of days, could be viewed through a partisan lens. I mean, I think, Democrats are seem to be very, very upset about this. There are some Republicans that have raised serious concerns and are asking for more information. I think if you look at the pushback against Harry Reid from people like Trey Gowdy, people on, there were, Tom Cotton today, it's pretty dismissive, which you wouldn't, find that surprising. So, look, there's going to be a lot of partisan back and forth. I think that's probably part of the noise that we're dealing with here.
And we'll be dealing with for at least 8 more days. Mark Leibovich, as always, we do appreciate the time.
Great. Thanks, Josh.